I'm likely going to work with the people who are going to be writing the requirements so that when it comes out, it's written for someone. And so you'll hear that a lot from folks. It's like, oh, don't go after that. That's written for this company or that company. What I have found is that was probably the case many years ago, and in some cases it still may be, but really is not as prevalent as people think it is. So what happens in many cases is it's going to go right up to FedBizOps without even, in some cases, a contracting officer knowing whether or not these can be met. So this is a great web page to start out with, and there are, you can enter your company's information in there in your NAICS codes, and then it will send you opportunities. It can be very overwhelming though. You could get an email every day that's showing under your NAICS code there's 100 opportunities. So experiment first, and you're going to be overwhelmed with it, but there are some ways to maneuver around this that I really like. But everything is going to be posted on this, other than a lot of the intelligence community. No one knows their budget, and it's supposed to be that way, and so you're not going to be picking up some of that side of the budget. But you'll pick up all the other agencies are required to post it on here. And then, depending on how you want information sent to you, it does the work for you. It's not as good as you think, because your NAICS code might have a variety of things, and you're filtering through it. It takes a lot of time to some folks that they get frustrated with it and kind of throw it out. I'll show you a couple things, though, that, so again, it has to come on this. But a couple, some of you have mentioned, how do I know how to meet some of the folks who might be at these agencies? On the right side, you have these small business events, learn more, and then search now. So I'm going to hit the search now one. Here's a small business event that the opportunity, let me do this outreach here. So so I click on this outreach program. So it says small business event vendor for February 2019. It's Homeland Security. And it will tell you on the side information about it, and then how do you get into it. So this is going to be on February 21st at noon. It will tell you what type of stuff you need to send in and where is the location. So this one is up in DC, and then you have to, on this one, it's going to require you, here are the specific things that you need to do in order to become an RSVP to the person. So you actually have to follow the rules pretty well on getting into these, and it will tell you that it's sponsored by this office, 15-minute appointments with different folks to talk to you about it. And then these are great. They fill up quite quickly, and what I would suggest, if it fills up, and you really want to be there because it's your what you do, I'd go and just they have a lot of no-shows. So just keep those in mind, and as you can see, there's a lot coming up. And so all I did was just click when these come up, and they're required to post when those are. I'm going to pull one up that I think has occurred, and why I want to do this is it's pretty fascinating what information, when they occur, what you get. Let me go back to... Okay, so here's an example of Air Force Material Command. It's Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And so this one, save a date, but they've also, in the past, they've put out some information on it. So check out this little preview slide. So all I did was go to the side as different documents they put out for this. So 23rd of January, they held one that they're using the same slides it's looking like. So what's great about this is now you're having all the people who are relevant with each of those entities. It's telling you the different components. So it's providing you all your market research with that agency. But at the very end, let's see if they do it on this one. A lot of times they'll have the specific person's contact information. But what I can do, what I do quite often is I'll take Eric Fell, let's use him as an example. I'm going to copy him, and I'm going to open up a new window here. And so you're taking now information that's publicly available, and you know that this guy's in procurement, so I will just put his name in quotes. And I'll say procurement, And I'm going to give you a couple search commands. I'm going to say, I know that this guy's speaking at that conference and it was a PDF I opened. So I'm going to Google his name, procurement PDF. So, there we go. Deleted my information there. So I'm going to put his name in again and well, procurement. Take out the, I'll put let's just do that. Okay, so there was a briefing done at Kitty Hawk, the Kitty Hawk Post, and this guy's name came up. So he presented, and he's talking about there are different things going on, and then what happens when it's an individual presenter? Hopefully, okay, so look what you just have. Now you know the exact person you need to contact, and so often, you trying to call a small business office without knowing the name, now you contact them and you send the email, say, hey, your slides regarding, the slides were great regarding opportunities at this contracting office. Love to chat with you a little more about some upcoming opportunities, specifically this, whatever it might be. And then you send it to them. And that's just a way that you now have an in, you have a name, and if this person's presenting, they like people. So a lot of times, these are professional, even though the name, it's probably a small business office, this person's in the small business office, and all they do is go to conferences. And so they'll be able to find the right person for you with your question is what the job is. So that all came because I used FedBizOps, and I found specific things about it. You can go down, it has all the different briefing pages that they're going to be using. In this case, on that date, even though, okay, so this one was passed, but they put attendees as well. And let's see if they're up yet. So what you can do on the same page, there will be another button that will come up soon that will say who attended, and it will say the company's name, it will give the email and the phone number. And so even if you didn't go to it, now you know all the people who are interested in the particular area you are, and you just start calling. And so that's where I find you'll do a lot of your homework just through pages like this. And then you can also just type in industry day, and they call them, this one's an outreach event, but they have industry day somewhere in here likely. But outreach event, industry day, and who you want to meet with. So that's just something that's available on this page that a lot of people don't use, but you can get a lot of specific information about that. So let's go though and find how you use this. So there's a variety of different pieces you can do. There's user guides, your buyer, your vendor, location, etc. So you can learn a little more about each of these, which I would encourage you to do. But let's just go dive right into it. So we want to know a set aside, and I'll use HubZone. I want a HubZone set aside. I want it in the state of Virginia. I want it to be what type? I want a pre-solicitation. And so if you look at these, there's a variety of things. You have pre-solicitation, you have combined synopsis, you have sources sought, of many different things that are occurring. I don't want to know who's got the award. And I want to know pre-solicitation. I want to know these guys are looking for market research. We're going to see who out there can actually do what we're looking for. And that's so you can get more specific to what you're looking at. So let's try, it hasn't come out in an RFP yet. There may not be anything. So let's try pre-solicitation, and I'm going to search now. So right here is a cover assembly oil for whatever it might be. It was posted on January 3rd. So I click on this, and it's going to tell me that it's only a HubZone. This is what we're looking for. What we're trying to figure out what we want. So it's giving you the specifics of what they're looking for, and then it will give you the contracting officer's name. And then you can, because it's a pre-solicitation, you can actually, once it goes to an RFP, you really can't talk to this person anymore because it falls into that category of, I need to let everybody know. So you ask me a question, now I got to let everybody who's interested in this know what your question was and what the answer was. In this stage, and I have to look closer, but if it's a pre-solicitation, before it goes out, you can talk to them, and they can walk you through things. And that's the best time to talk to these folks, because they're not governed by any specific requirements on what they can and can't say. So that's, you can get as specific or as you'd like on each of these. And then you can do it also by NAICS code. So let's go with, who has a NAICS code again? Throw out.
325.
325.
998.
And I'm going to get rid of, right now, it got rid of my state. So this is a lot of, all the different RFPs opportunities that are out there, and when they were posted. So, supply refrigerant, it may be not even your state. So you can narrow it down by your state or states that you want to be focusing in on, but each one's pretty much the same thing. I'll do the supply refrigerant. So you pull up, this is going to get you into what the document looks like, and it's what she described. You have the same, each of these will look exactly the same, and they'll go through all what they're looking for. This one, they need to supply these refrigerants. They need to be on the call basis. It should be available within 24 hours. How much is going to be needed, and which building. This one's to the specific building. Here's what they're going to use, and then you're going to put what your price. So this is purely going to be on pricing. So this is pretty straightforward, and then it tells you the instructions and whether or not you can meet the criteria. So many of you just do product, which, you'll still have they'll have all the different bar cost clauses as she's mentioned as well in these documents. So that's what each one looks like. Now, it looks a lot more complicated than it is, and I think if you sell, let's say you're a machine shop and you want to build a stand for an aircraft, they'll have the design in this for you. So it will say, we are looking at the following stand so we can paint this aircraft. It will give you the specs that are needed, and then you, as a shop, just need to look at it and say, I can build that, and I can price that out, and then all these other pages are just that's where actually the woman who was just in here, she would be a good resource. The PTAC, to make sure that you've gone through it, you want someone to review it, they will review it for you. And so you can get some help that way too. But most of this is it's in every contract. Once you read through it one time, if something seems complicated, there's folks in this room that can help you, answer what are they actually asking for. And then it's more or less the same thing when you're selling the product. So don't get overwhelmed by this. One page is important for you, as you saw the price that I'm going to deliver this, and when and how. That's what you want to know. And then the other stuff, you need to make sure that if there's special requirements, okay, you go to the sections she described, but that statement of work, what they want you to do is the key thing to look at. Again, this was pretty easy to spot because it's a product where sometimes that statement of work could be many pages to figure out where it's at. So on the right side again, you have general information, when it was posted, when do they want responses? They want it by February 8th, 12:01 Eastern Time, and then set aside, no set aside, classification next code. And then on here, if there's any changes, they'll start piling them down. So that's an example of that next code and what they look like there. Any questions on this, how this works? You can also go, I really like though this set asides, because I think that many that build stuff and sell stuff, there's enough things that are small enough that the big guys aren't going to go after. And so if you sell some stuff that's in the $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 range, you're likely able to prime those. But when you go into the larger pots, the 5, 10, 15 million, that's where the other ones are going to come in and will want you to start supplying them. I would encourage you, depending on the size, to really look at that. Because most of the time, all they really care about is price and can you deliver it. And if it's a small, when I say small, I mean, 50,000 might be a lot. 500,000, might not be a lot, depending on your company. But and a lot of these are done by this. So things that you sell that are product and one-offs are going to be, in many cases, set-asides. They're not going to be competitive. And so, that's another reason to get your certification up. And I have a question for you back there. Do you guys help with HubZone? I mean, helping them get qualified to be, who would be the entity that helps with HubZone qualification to help them, guide them in that process? I mean, I think we can provide guidance, but is that something that, does the local PTAC help in that?
The local SPDC
Yeah.
and PTAC both would help with that, yes.
So I would encourage you, where you saw the HubZone map, if you fall into the HubZone map, I would get that certification started and get that in place, because it can take a while to get that certification done for you. Okay. So any other things on with this page? It's going to be very overwhelming for you when you put in your NAICS code, because you could get daily several hundred pieces coming at you, and most of them are areas that you don't want to work in or states that you don't care for, and it's not very good about helping slim that down. The other thing, and I was sharing it earlier, what I like to do is the small SB, I've shared with you some of these, Small Business Disadvantaged Office, SB, OSBDU, sorry, Oz. So, again, if you have, OSBDU, which is always the small business shop, they're going to have what opportunities are coming up. So I'd almost look at the forecast for the agency you're looking for, and let's say that you're looking for commerce. So these will give you the different opportunities coming up, like we'll pull up Treasury, for example, to show you what one looks like. So at Treasury, there'll be a connection at Treasury, and then what this saves you is most of these they'll all go on FedBizOpps if they're not there. So they have, they'll go through and explain their forecast, what they're looking for, how much it's going to be, and they'll go through it. Some are a little better than others. So this one, as I said, is a dynamic one, which is a good thing that it's continually updating itself and looking at the different, well, they even go by NAICS codes. Most of their awards are computer related, so you can get a good sense right off the bat. Do I care to work with them when, as I scroll down, they're not awarding many in my area under my NAICS code. So you can find, depending on the agency, some are a little better than others, whether or not you even want to deal with them. But again, that's all through a simple search on OSBDU, and every agency should have these forecasts. And I'll pull up one that's a little more, because it ties to FedBizOpps. So let's do Navy. So this one actually, so the Department of Defense is the biggest, they spend more than any other agency, just size and scope and mission. So they've made this nice for you. The Department of Defense has said, we understand that there's a variety of agencies you may be interested in working with, and they have their forecast already in place for you to go to. So you can click on one. Let's try the Army Milcom. So here's what their acquisition forecast looks like. They are saying who's going to do it, what state, what specific location, what is the title, and how much they anticipate. So that's an example of one. Let me pull in one that will be a little more specific, so you'll start seeing that they'll, let's try installation logistics. It's a little hard to read. Oh, this comes up quite often. Whenever you do a .mil, notice the end. Don't get stressed by that .mil. That comes up with almost every time you're going into a military to scare you. But say it's fine. It's not doing anything other than, but this one requires you to say, yes, I will add exception, and then confirm security, and then it will pull up the, okay, so it's giving you every little thing, like this is the Department of Defense, da-da-da-da. So now they then will ask you, they give you more specifics with it,
And this one provides you actually a lot of information